So here we go then, everybody. Welcome to another KOA live show, the KOA Fans Social live show. Hope you're all doing well. It's a hot one, isn't it? Indian summer, late Indian summer as we enter September. And we're gonna probably chat about this in the intro, bringing in Simon and Bloomers who are joining me this week. Of course, international break is here. Are you bored yet? I am. It's gonna be weird this weekend with no town game. The Ipswich Town women's team have got a game on Sunday. But it's Saturday, you've got to fill that up. But welcome back, though, to another live show. We did this a few weeks back. We had good old Bainesy and Peachy joining me. This time I've got Simon and Bloomers as we discuss all things town. So come in, sit down and relax, have a cool brew and enjoy this chat. Let's bring in, first of all, Simon, who joins us, my friend. Always bump into you in the press room, because I know you did the hospital radio. So shout out to you for doing that. But how's things, my friend?
Yeah, very good, very good. Enjoying the football well up till last week when it stopped for a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable sort of being involved and seeing the atmosphere around the place as it's been in the opening 5 games, and the results and the performances have been good, which is always good to see.
Definitely, mate. And I've completely forgot, and I put it on our notes. Of course, we are proudly sponsored by Manscaped and Ginger Pickle. Shout out to Tony Southgate and the team there for their marketing and CEO and all that sort of stuff. I should say that at the beginning of the podcast, but I got overwhelmed with all the heat and everything like that. But anyway, Simon, let's bring in the third man that's joining us. We'll make this threesome, and it is Bloomers, my friend. Always good to see you. How's things?
All good, thank you very much, mate. It's pretty unbearably warm in London at the moment, but we soldier on, don't we? And look, if you want to fill up your time with football being out of action, or at least the good stuff and not the international break, you do have 2 oval-shaped sports to choose from this weekend, because you've got the Rugby World Cup starting tomorrow and the return of the NFL, which actually starts tonight. 1:20 a.m. kickoff. So if you've got insomnia or a young child or a pet that won't shut up, then you've got an excuse to stay up and watch some good sporting action.
Definitely, my friend. Yeah, I've got a lot of mates. I know there's a lot of town fans who do like their American football as well, so I'm sure they'll be tuning in. And for late nights, ready for the American football, as that this weekend full of that. NFL is back, baby, and all that sort of stuff. We've got 2 London-based town fans with me, Simon and Bloomers. South London, East London. I'm just here in good old Kesgrave. Just had a nice Thai Thai food with my missus, and that was really enjoyable. I'm a bit bloated now, but I'm ready to crack on. As I said, get in the comments down below, share your thoughts as always, and we're going to be chatting about the start to the season, boys, because we're 5 games in on the return for Town in the Championship. And as always, I always want to ask your one-word review to sum up the first game. Simon, what is your one word? And get in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this and listen to it after the show, ignore this bit. But yeah, get in the comments, let you know your thoughts. But Simon, yes, your one word, my friend.
I think one word that sort of when you mentioned doing this, I think promising is the word that sort of comes to mind in terms of it's a good start. It looks okay. It's 4 points from 4 wins from 5. It's 12 points from 15, which is one of the best that newly promoted teams have ever done. So it's good for a start, but I think we need to remember it is only a start. There will be a lot of tough tests coming thick and fast down the line. But look, all you can do is win the games that you have, and Town have done well in that regard, and probably better than anyone could have hoped for.
And Bloomers, James Biggs has commented, and he said, Roscoe, I've had a bad day at work. Will you cheer me up by saying Vaclav Halenki? So there we go, James. There we go, my friend. And he's had a good start to his championship campaign, didn't he? Played some really good games, made some amazing saves against Cardiff, didn't he? But Bloomers, what's your one word, my friend?
It's not really a word. It's more of an emoji. It's the eyes emoji. I'm sure you've seen it. Some with the 2 eyes looking sideways like that, if there was eyebrows in the emoji, which there isn't. But if there was, they'd be a little bit raised as well. It's like all right. Because look, the most ardent Town fan wouldn't have predicted us to get 12 points from 15, and yet I'm probably not the only one sitting here thinking a little bit like, not sad by. Obviously, sad's completely the wrong word, but like it could be so much better. And yet we got 12 points out of 15. Like 60 minutes of the Cardiff game was pretty ropey. The defending against Leeds was pretty ropey, and yet everything else has been pretty much perfect. You have the highs of that win on Sky against Sunderland, where we dug in and got the 2 goals and saw out the game. You had the comfortable win against Stoke, which was just the perfect introduction to Portman Road. You had the lucky, I'll be honest, lucky win against QPR, but look, win's a win. And then bounce back ability to come back from 2 goals down against Cardiff with 30 minutes to go. So, no one would even say that we've hit top gear yet. And yet we're second in the league with only Preston North End above us. And 12 points out of 15 in the bank. It's a great start. And for anyone who was worried about finishing, I don't know, bottom 8 or dare I say a bottom half, I think that starts kind of put your fears at rest. I know not a lot of people are saying that, but some of the doom merchants might have been thinking it in their heads. And it's a perfect basis to go and crack on now up until Christmas, because after this break, I don't think we've got too many more. And once we hit that first East Anglian derby, you see where we are, because at the moment, you can only say that we're going to be in the hunt for the top 6 at least.
Yeah, I think that was the. Of course, we got predicted by a lot of the pundits, didn't they, about Town being top 6, top 2, and some people may be laughing at that, Simon, because we're a newly promoted League One side, but Town players have stepped up and they've shown they can play at this level.
Yeah, I think that's part of what I find really impressive about this start, is that there has been a lot of external noise around this team saying how good it is, and for them to step up and just calmly go about their business and prove it on the pitch, and not sort of shrinking under that pressure of everyone talking about them, which I think we've seen Town teams in the past sort of crumble under the pressure of the weight of expectation. This team seems to play even better. They seem to enjoy that pressure of being a good side, and they want to keep improving and keep showing their qualities. And I think McKenna's so key to that in terms of keeping everyone grounded. And I mean, I know we talked about this, Ross, after the game against Cardiff. What I found really impressive about that game in particular is, and Leeds as well, I suppose, is even when the chips are down and games going against them, they don't change what they're trying to do. They don't shrink and go into their shells. They trust what they're trying to do. They trust how they're trying to play. And they'll do that whether they're 0-0, 2-0 up, 2 behind. The process doesn't change. And that just makes it so much simpler for the players to go out and perform, because everyone is so understanding of their roles and what they need to do that becomes almost second nature to them.
To be fair, I think I think if people were thinking that some of the players on the pitch might have suddenly got ideas above their stations, I don't think they know what Kieran McKenna's like as a manager. I certainly didn't have any fears of that happening. To be honest, I just thought that the step up was going to hit us more. I think you saw it in the Leeds game with how good they were up front, and you saw it in the Cardiff game where you had League One games last season like that, where Cardiff would sit back behind the ball, look to, put a low block on and disrupt our play, and then go up their end and score. Difference was from League One teams to Cardiff is that Cardiff had the attacking capabilities to actually be effective on the counter, whereas League One teams were kind of sort of defending for their lives, really. And to be honest, Cardiff looked quite comfortable until Broadhead popped up with a mini worldie, and then they just seemed to crumble. But it's a great advert for what we're trying to do, in that we haven't compromised on any of our philosophies in terms of playing style, and it's seen to get us 12 points. And you can only imagine that it will continue, maybe not at that rate of points per game, but do I see us, suddenly going on an 8-game winless run? No. I mean, do I see us winning 12 in a row? No, not unless it's my wildest dreams. But there's no reason why this can't continue at a similar vein. And like I say, if you average, 2 points a game will get you promoted, but 1.75, 1.8 points a game, you're going to be right in the thick of that playoff race at the very minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the points needed for playoffs last year was sort of 72, 73 points or something, and you think we've already got 12 in 5 games. I mean, it gives you such ability to have a little dip of 2, 3, 4 games without a win. As you say, you hope you don't have that, but I mean, you look at the fixtures over Christmas when you've got sort of Norwich, Leicester, a lot of tough fixtures in a very short space of time. It's not inconceivable we would go on a run like that. But, I mean, all the team can do is what they are doing, which is keep trusting what they're trying to do and and keep looking to put performances on the pitch, and they've done really well in that regard. I mean, I think the only other time you talk about when they looked outclassed at this level, not outclassed, but first 30 minutes away at Sunderland was very difficult. We really struggled to get out, and again, they don't go backwards. They keep trying to do what they want to do, and trust that they will get through eventually, and it will click. And invariably, it does with this team, and that's what always happens.
I think the last thing on this little section is that, to be honest, it's been these 5 games have been really nice, and that all of we've been tested on so many different levels. You've had backs to the wall, seeing out a bad period against Sunderland. You've had controlling a game on the front foot against Stoke. You've had an away win, almost smash and grab-esque against QPR. And then you've had the, looking really bad, 2-0 down, lost cause almost against Cardiff, and then come back to win it. We've been tested on almost every front. We've pretty much come through them all with flying colours. So, and even the Leeds game, we could have easily crumbled when they scored 3 goals in, or whatever, however many minutes it was. It's fantastic, really. You can't ask for any more. And you look at the next few fixtures coming up, there's no reason why it can't continue.
And I think McKenna's obviously spoken about improvement as well, and the international break being a good chance for them to sort of look back of some of the lessons they've learned. I think he said after Cardiff that it's great to have lessons to learn while you get the 3 points. It's the ideal scenario for him, because there's so much they can get better at and improve on, but they still got the win. So that can only be positive from his perspective. Yeah,
and boys, Adam Wright's gone. His one-word review of the season so far is unexpected. So, which is fair. And James is brought up the Ladapo chat now. We'll talk about the Player of the Month nominees, and of course Sam Morsey's won it, and he's been nominated for the Championship Player of the month for August as well. So fair play to Morsey. Of course, called up for Egypt as well, so he had a good month. But yeah, in the past I've not been the biggest Ladapo fan, but I must admit he's starting to show that he's a real good poacher, and he showed that, didn't he? On Saturday against Cardiff, come off the bench. Probably wasn't expecting to come off the bench, and yes, about 38 minutes, I think for Hurst. But yeah, what thoughts on that, Simon and Bloomers, just on Ladapo as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird one. I think he's one of the biggest enigmas I can remember as an Ipswich Town player. I was at the Reading Cup game the other week, and for 60 minutes he did barely anything. Wasn't having a good game. The game looked like it was passing him by. He looked to be playing within himself, which he does often. I think that's why he gets such a lightning of criticism, because it will look like, even when he's not doing it, that he's playing within himself, because he's not one to go on a massive mazy dribble or to run 20 miles an hour at players. He's not one to come in really deep, get the ball or whatever. But when he gets the ball, or if a ball's in an area where there can be a goal scored, he's there. The Reading game, he had a one-on-one against when Evans brought it through, and he finished it perfectly. The 2 Cardiff goals are just poachers' instinctive goals. He was there for the third, the winner, to just be in the right place, right time, to smash him in the face. And the second goal, it came to him with a bit of luck, and just an instinctive finish. It's fantastic. It's what you want. I do wonder how much it was in the reports that he was set to leave the club or not. I mean, Simon, would you have been upset if he'd? I know it's easy to say now with the 2 goals he scored, but if he'd have left the club on 6 days ago, would you have been upset?
I think if there hadn't have been any replacement, yes, I don't think we would have had enough in the building with him going, and then relying on a very young, inexperienced Dane Scarlett. Caden Jackson, we know, isn't always the most reliable finisher or source of goals. And then you've got George Hurst, who's had his slight injury problems this season already. Obviously, we hope that that's not too serious, but I would have been disappointed if Freddie had gone. As I say, if he'd had somebody lined up, fine, then we could have that discussion. But as it was on deadline day, it didn't look like that was ever likely to happen. So yeah, I didn't want to see Freddie leave. For me, the thing with Freddie is you just got to accept what he is and what he isn't. I mean, George Hurst is clearly a better rounded striker, I would say. He's got more sort of abilities all sort of an all-court player. Like, he can drop deep, he can run in behind. He's got a lot more attributes to his game that he can use. But Freddie's up there with one of the best finishers in the club, and he does have that goal scorer's instinct to get into the box. And as you say, I mean, even the one that goes in off his face at the weekend, it's one you sort of count as just good movement. He's in the right place, and that's all you can do as a striker, is get in the right place and hope that the ball somehow, somewhere comes to you, and that's what he does. And as you say, his finish against Reading was good. That gave him the confidence. And then I thought the first goal at the weekend he took really well. I mean, it was awkward the way it came to him at an awkward height and bounce, and it sort of deflected into his path. But he instinctively put it in the back of the net. And I think that's his key attribute for Town, is he is a goal scorer. And saw a stat that off the bench, I think he's got the most since the start of last season, with 10, I think it was. And that was I think that was including last weekend. The next nearest is Callum Wilson with 6. So I think that shows the impact that he has for Town off the bench. And I wouldn't have wanted to lose that, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. Nice little chat there, boys. Love that. We've got some more comments. Let's shout out to James Bloomers, James Farthing. Hello from New York. We've got Nikolai also from New York as well. I think they've been able to connect since James has been over there. And we actually did a Fan Social New York special, which was great fun at the end of last season. And Nikolai's gone, my one-word review is solid. And I think that is a good word as well. Just solid. Got some goals. Of course, conceding a bit more, so not solid at the back, but a solid for games. Philip, good old Philip Lundell. My one word is terrific. Can you say terrific? You tried to slip me up there, didn't you, Flip? I can't even say the easiest words there. And James is gone back in. James Biggs, he's gone brave. And yeah, I have to say the boys have been brave. And EJ Norris has said one word review is unreal. Because it has been an unreal start with 4 wins out of the possible 5, which I think anybody would have took that off, didn't they? When you saw the fixtures come out, you went Sunderland, Stoke, rebuild, winnable, Portland Road, first game back at Portland Road in the Championship. Third game was, remind me something, QPR? Was it QPR?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you never know. Loftus Road, QPR, though. A lot of people putting a relegation. Winnable, just about got the win. Leeds, really, relegated and all that. We lost, of course, and then just gone Cardiff. We're like, a lot of people put them in the relegation zone, and of course they gave us a big test. So take those out of the first 5 games. Well, boys, let's talk about the players. We've spoke about Ladapo, but let's take your player of the month for August. As we already mentioned, Sam Morsey has won the club's supporters one. But are you going to chuck a different name, or are you picking Sam Morsey as well? Simon, who are you choosing?
Yeah, I think there's a number of names you could throw into the ring. I think Vaz has had an unbelievable start, given how he was sort of written off going into the season, and people suggesting that we needed a new goalkeeper with Bolton out with injury. But he's made some incredible saves. QPR, he was magnificent. He was brilliant again against Cardiff. I know took a little bit of possible unfair criticism against Leeds, but he bounced back from that and showed his quality in the next game, which is all you can ask of him. Leif Davis is just carried on where he finished off last year, and ultimately, if he has another season like that, he's probably looking like a £30 million to sale to somebody in the Premier League if he carries on the way he's going, because he's got all the ability. But I think ultimately Sam Morsey probably was the right name, and probably the name I would have gone for, given the option of players this month. I think he does what Sam Morsey does, and he deserves the sort of accolades of being nominated for Championship Player of the Month, which is quite rare for sort of more defensive-minded midfield players to get those sort of nominations. And I think that proves how important and how much he's needed in this Town side. And he is the heartbeat of this team. Take him out and Town are a completely different unit. Yeah,
definitely. And do you know one thing I forgot to do for this live show? There is a feature where I can share and show basically the messages and the comments. Of course, if you're listening, it doesn't really matter for you. But for the viewers and for us, we can bring up people's names. I completely forgot. So here's EJ Norris, who's got to be Sam. Bloomers, who's your choice?
It probably does have to be Sam. I was just sitting here being like, do I put out a rogue name? Do I try and be controversial or whatever? But it's very difficult to not say Sam Morsey, really. He's just a metronome. Everything that he does is so... It's almost unseen, but it is also seen because he gets all the... But if you were I don't know, my uncle, who's a Leeds fan actually. So he was actually at the game at Portman Road as a Leeds fan, and he watched us from the upper cobbled stand. And after the game, he said, "Oh, Morsey's your best player by a mile." And he said, "I knew nothing of him before the game, but now I do." And I think that's it. Like, you look at his stats on paper. I know people wangle on about fantasy stuff or whatever. If you had him in if he was ever in the Premier League on fantasy, he'd get you no points whatsoever. In fact, he'd probably get you negative points because you get booked all the time. But like, what he does on that pitch for this team is just, as Simon so rightly put, it's just so fundamental to how we play. I really like Cameron Burgess, and I must say he's another in the mould of like Morsey, where not maybe the flashiest, but just completely solid. He allows Wolfenden to be a bit more daring with his own defending because he's just so solid. And when he's not in the team, and you have, and I love him to bits, so I don't mean this as a personal bit of criticism, but like George Edmondson against Reading, if you compare to how he played and what that downgrade is, in my opinion, from the likes of Burgess, the likes of Edmondson, it shows actually what a level that Burgess is playing at. So he'd be right up there for me. And obviously Ladapo scoring the goals that he has done, and Cladkey. I don't think it was unfair criticism against Leeds. I think it was quite rightly justified. But one bad game doesn't make a bad player, you know. So and the save against Sunderland, the saves he made against Cardiff, he's more than earned his place and done really well to deputise for Christian Walton. But yeah, Sam Morsey. Pray to God that I don't know if it's AFCON year this year. I think it is. I think
it is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, January.
So if he's off, then that's just devastating. But yeah, he deserves it, and it's really nice to see him get called up for Egypt this week, because I know that he's said before about how much that means to him. So congratulations, and he fully deserves it.
I mean, I think if nothing else, Morsey deserved Player of the Month for that tackle he put in on the Cardiff midfielder at the weekend, and just absolutely sent him into another dimension almost with that tackle.
Yeah, we love to see that.
Yeah, we do. I love those sort of tackles. I said on the main podcast, the flagship show, that was in Stuart Watson's wheelhouse. He loves those sort of tackles, so I'm sure he'll enjoy it. I bet he's watched that back loads of times. Adam Wright is gone. Another vote for the skip. Deserves his call up for the Egypt squad. I like these little buttons now. I can press little buttons. I can bring back an old.
Ross wasn't just making up comments. No,
there you go.
You have them.
I actually do have them. I'm not making up. I'm just not making up random people. These are people watching. So yeah, thanks for getting involved. As I said, get involved in the comments for extra stuff. Shall we? Let's put Nikolai another question here, or another comment. Sam has been magnificent, but for me, Vaclav Halanki, he did that on purpose, didn't he? He did it on purpose. For me to say it.
You didn't have to do it.
Yeah, but
to say it again,
because like for the viewers, you can see the comment here, but for once again for the listeners, I'm bringing them into the show as well, because I'm sure there will be people listening to this on their way to work or whatever on a Saturday, just chilling and all that stuff. James has done it again. Halanki deserves huge credit the way he was filled Walton's boots for the first game back, to be away at Sunderland in front of a noisy 400,000. 40,000.
To be honest, in Sunderland's fans' eyes, they get 400,000 a game.
Yeah,
that's the entire population of Sunderland, isn't it?
Possibly. 40,000. I have to correct that. And performed the way he did that day, and since then,
in all fairness, that's a really good point from James, because I actually forgot that until he's just brought it up. That first half an hour, he did not look comfortable. He was getting the ball at his feet, but he wasn't doing a lot with it. It was hold your breath time. But you could see him, as the game went on, got more and more confident. And then obviously the save he made at the end to ensure all 3 points was fantastic. And I still think that his pass, well, to be honest, actually, I remember saying this time last season, from what I saw of him, his distribution was better than Walton's, in my opinion.
I
don't know.
He said something similar, didn't he? He said,
you could maybe say
in the league, play out from the back or something along those lines.
You could maybe say, I mean, say you could maybe make that case. I mean, it's been 5 months since I've seen Christian Walton pass the ball, so it's great for him. If anything else, I don't know what's going to happen with even the rest of the season. Whether I don't believe for a second he'll continue for the rest of the season. He might, depends on how bad Walton's injury is, or I don't know. He plays so well that he can't be dropped. I don't see that happening, but then if he does move on in January or at the end of the season, he's put himself in the shop window with how well he's been playing. So just fair play to him. We love Czech goalkeepers.
Yeah,
in the tradition of Thomas Holy.
Yeah, two very different goalies, of course. Because it was like 6'9", was he, Thomas? I think something like that.
He was.
Massive. He's a massive.
Can't
boy.
imagine him playing out from the back too often either.
Yeah, Christ, no.
No, we love you, Thomas. Though we love you. We love you. He's at Carlisle, and he's still at Carlisle.
Nicest man in football.
He got promoted with Carlisle.
Primus.
Yes. But yeah, Thomas Holy. Shout out to him. Well, let's talk about goal of the month, standout moments so far as well. Where do you want to start? Should we do goals? Because that's what we like. We've seen a lot of goals scored. I wish I had a stat in front of me, but I don't. I'm trying to think how many goals have scored so far. Do you know that at the top of your head?
Oh, hang on. Let's see if I can work it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15 goals. So out of those 15, what's your favourite? What's your goal of the month? There is nominations on the Ipswich Town official Twitter. There's one what's been missing because as you mentioned it earlier, Bloom, is the small worldie from Broadhead for the Cardiff game. That's not even part of that selection.
Technically in September. Technically in September, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. I think that's why. I think we're blending that.
Don't let correct stats get in the way of
that's what I mean. Because I think that's, for me, I'm blending that game into August because we've now gone into the international break. Yeah. After international break, September is...
There hasn't been a fan social since, so we'll allow it.
Yes. But yeah, who's your pick then, Simon? What out of those 15 goals... Is that just league goals, Bloomers?
That includes cup goals.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, that counts because it is cup goals.
It doesn't include the penalties.
No, because Shawnee Aluko missed his, and the rest scored actually. So yeah. But what do you reckon, Simon? What are you going for?
I have to say, I think the George Hurst goal away at Sunderland was a big moment. If we're not counting the Broadhead one as being part of August, I think that George Hurst one was a big moment. Obviously, a big occasion, a big moment for him as much as anything because he's not scored in the Championship before, and then a lot of question marks going in. Can he sort of do it at this level? And the confidence with which he takes it. It's a lovely build-up, lovely through ball from Nathan Broadhead on a plate, perfect weight, rifles it into the top of the net, and then gets Town underway with a massive 3 points away at Sunderland. I mean, you see them turning Southampton over 5-0 at the Stadium of Light last weekend. That you look at that and think we've got a good result there. I don't think many teams are going to go there and pick up 3 points. And obviously that was a big part of that. And I think overall his performance in that game was really good too. So I think in terms of goal of the month, that would be right up there for me and a really good moment for him.
Yeah, I love that. I love that goal. Seeing that in the flesh right in front of me, I was like, oh, that is a beauty. Bloomers, I'm going to bring you in right now. We have got a nice one from James all the way from New York. Got his goal of the month as well. But what's yours?
Well, go on, no, share his first.
Okay, go on, James. What are you saying? He's gone for Broadie's goal on Saturday. I love this shift of the ball. Spark the comeback. And it can win both August and September goal of the month for me. And he's got the emoji of like sweating. He's like, hopefully that isn't going to be the only goal we score for the rest of September. I'm sure hopefully there'll be some other good goal.
Goal of the month of September will be whoever scores a winner against Sheffield in Wednesday. So
true that. But yeah, what's yours, Bloomers?
Yeah, I mean, for sheer ability and thunder bastardry, I think it is Broadhead. But I really like, I'll be quick on this one. I really like Kane Jackson's goal against Stoke. Great sweeping move from front to back. Burns putting in a good ball, which he's been criticised for not doing enough, although we certainly did on that occasion. And look, Jackson is one of the biggest success stories of the McKenna era, in that it was such a fringe player that I don't think any of us saw being in this team for the Championship. I don't think anyone saw him being in the League One team the following season after McKenna joined, and yet here we are. Like, he's clearly worked his nuts off in training to get the chance he does. And even in that game, I know there's a few like murmurings about Jackson when you saw him with the ball or whatever, and yet he delivered, and it was a great moment for him, right in front of the North Stand, and you could see how much it meant to him, and it's just great, and he offers just a different dynamic up front to the likes of Hurst and the Dapo with his pace, and I can see him being utilised in various games going forward, and he's not really given McKenna a reason to not play him at this point, so. It's great to have a squad player like that. Great moment for him. And it was just a nice capping off of that day where we got a win. First game at Portman Road and, 6 points out of 6 and we were off to a flyer.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got some more comments. This is from another James Biggs. He's not got me to say Vaz's name again, thankfully. But yeah, he said, I personally really enjoyed Chapper's scrappy goal at QPR's. It felt like a huge moment in the game. And it did, didn't it? Because we were like, oh no, it's going to be a standard Gareth Ainsworth performance, scrappy game, and can't even beat his team. But thankfully, Chappers came up, scored his first goal of the season. And of course, after that, he's gone on to score a few more, hasn't he? So it's good. EJ Norris has said Broady's goal from the weekend, in my opinion. Nikolai's gone. Now vote for Hurst's goal against Sunderland. And yeah, hopefully Hurst will go on to score a few more. Hopefully the injury isn't too bad. We'll probably the international break has come out at the right time. We'll chat about that in a bit shortly, guys. But let's talk about any other standout moments from you, Simon. Any of that stand out for you? Maybe it could be personal to you as well. But yeah, anything.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the weekend I've enjoyed really, really a lot. I mean, sort of discussed how long it's been in the press box after the game with a few people about how long it's been since Town have come back from 2 behind in any game to win. And I think the consensus was Barnsley away 2011. So sort of talking 12 years since that happened. And I think I saw a stat that since it had happened at home was 2004. So again, that sort of shows those comeback wins feel really special because they've had to dig so deep as a unit and as a team, come through some tough moments and really stick together through the hard times. And we knew this team has the ability to sort of lead from the front. We saw that in League One. They go 1, 2, 3 goals ahead quickly and they can close that off. But they didn't have to show that fighting spirit in League One because they weren't behind that often. So I think I was really impressed with that. And it made me feel really more confident about this season and where this team is going, because it just shows another string to their bow and another way that they can win matches and win games from behind, which, as I say, they didn't have to, and now they can, which I think is a really important skill for certainly the Championship, where games sort of go back and forth over and over again. You need to have that resilience, and they've shown they do.
Yeah, they do. Bloomers, you've been to a lot of games this season, probably more you've done in the opening start of the season for a while, because we've been rubbish, haven't we, in the decade or so. But yeah, I'm sure you've enjoyed it. Any standout moments so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a season ticket for the first time since 2016. So yeah, I have seen quite a few. It's been lovely. Very, very uber niche any other business, and one that actually is off the field. Well, just how nice the stadium is on match days now. All the improvements they've made to the stadium makes it completely worth it. If you haven't been to Portman Road in a while, you probably aren't listening to this, to be perfectly honest. But if you are listening to this and you haven't been in a while, please, do try and come along when you can, because it's fantastic and it just feels like there's been new life breathed into the ground. And an uber niche one is the fact that they've now segregated the upper and lower parts of the North Stand. People were booting off about that on Twitter, being like, oh, how dare they? Because now if you're an upper tier North Stand ticket holder, you cannot access the lower tier. You have to go up certain stairs, and they've blocked it all off now, whereas before you could just go freely in between the two. What it does mean is I can now get a beer at half time and drink it in time for the second half. So thank you. It does actually work. People were booting off for no reason, and it feels a lot more uncluttered down the lower north. So well, another Ashton masterclass. Well, I'm sure I'm giving him credit for it. Bristol City fans don't like to hear that, but no, well done, Mark Ashton, if you were doing it. And if you ever are in the lower north stand, I won't buy you a pint. You can buy me one. You've got more money than I have.
Yeah, I get some people's point of view on, I know there's some who maybe have family or friends who are at different tiers and they want to sort of see before the game or at half time or whatever. But yeah, as you can, you like to be able to get a beer at half time so you can drink it and then go and watch the football for the second half instead of like being in a queue and go, do we leave? Because we're going to miss second half. So I think, that's
a brand new thing I discovered on last Saturday as well, is that they've now started doing cans of Jack Daniels and Coke as well, which is an elite masterstroke from somebody. I mean, less said about the price, the better, but well done, whoever's stocked that. There's only probably about 5 in the entire lower north stand, but that gives me an alternative option if I can't feel like I can chug a pint in 10 minutes. So well done once again, Ipswich, and another win that probably should give us another 3 points and put us top of the league.
Yeah, do it. Well, boys, let's have a little breather now. I've got the strike. We have got a message here from Skipsy Till, and has asked me a question, and it's about my driving test. When's the next one booked? Now, I was going to ignore this completely, but I thought, no, I'm going to be nice and I'm going to get everyone involved. I'm not going to tell anybody because I just think that will jinx it. So it's soon.
If
Okay,
you're,
Skipsy?
if you're willing, would you like to share your record when it comes to
Yes.
driving and/or theory tests?
Yeah. It's more driving test is not too bad because I've not had an opportunity to do one yet. But theory test is the one that's embarrassing. But I had passed it originally, but then we know the rest of the story. It expired because of COVID, and
if,
the rest.
if you don't, just DM Ross and he'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But I'm not doing it live on a show because that could jinx it completely.
Please live stream your driving test.
Yeah, that would be.
Get the examiner just to hold the phone while you're.
Yeah, pay-per-view. Come on in, let's do it. We'll find out. But yes, it's the strike time, boys and girls. Get involved, live viewers. Of course, get involved if you're listening after the show. We've got 4 questions plus tiebreaker. That links up to Dane Scarlett, who of course signed, Brandon Williams that signed since we've done our last fan social, and also the international call-ups as well. So I've got a mixed bag of questions here. Question 1 is on good old Dane Scarlett, who's not good old because he must be like 20, 19. Everyone's good old to me.
Definitely younger than you.
He's definitely younger than me. So there we go. And he was very young when he made his Spurs debut. What that segue there? What that little segue? And he was it was at the age of 16 years and 247 days. He was the youngest Spurs debutant at that point, but I think it's Alfie Devine who's broke that record. I think a couple months later, so didn't stay that record for that long. But yeah, he made his debut in the Europa League against which club? We've got 3 options here. We've got Royal Antwerp, Ludogorets Razgrad, or LASK, which is an Austrian team. They've got a full name. I'm not going to say it because that's how they say it. Apparently, they just shorten it. A lot of clubs do that, don't they, in Europe? They just shorten it, just make it easy for you. But yeah, I think Spurs won in that game. And these were actually the 3 teams they played in that Europa League, so that could trick you a little bit. But what do you reckon, boys? Get involved as well in the comments, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, sorry.
Ludogorets.
I put Ludogorets as a...
Ludogorets. You are both correct. It is Ludogorets. So I'm sorry if you were about to write your names, the answer in the comments. I've just told you it.
Just jumped the gun.
I'll jump the gun now. I'll give you a couple minutes, or maybe not minutes. I'll give you at least 30 seconds. Adam Wright, incorrect, my friend. I'm sorry to say, but fair play for typing it just after I said the answer. But the next one, just get involved, get in the comments down below. Question 2 is on Cameron Burgess. Of course, Bloomers gave him some praise, which was rightly so because he has been fantastic and he has been called up and potentially be making his senior first cap for Australia as they play Mexico. I think in Dallas, though. They'll be playing in Dallas. And him and his family emigrated to which city in Australia from Scotland when he was only 11? Was it Perth, Brisbane, or Sydney? So, yeah, him and his family... Because he was born, I think, was Aberdeen in Scotland, and then at the age of 11, he emigrated with his family at 11 years old to Australia. But which city was it? Perth, Brisbane, or Sydney? As they get in the comments, Simon Bloomers 1-1 currently. What do you reckon?
I said Perth.
Perth.
Haha. I have also gone for Perth.
Got full house there. Adam's also gone Perth. So, are you all right? Well, I'm just waiting for a few more comments. But fair play to Karen Bird as well. Got involved on Twitter about saying, it's yellow and gold. Do not worry, guys. It's not yellow and green. It's yellow and gold.
It's green and gold. Yeah,
I missed that.
Green gold. Yeah, green and gold. Sorry, green and gold. Because that yellow and gold. That's just the same color, pretty much. So yeah, green and gold. But yeah, I don't know enough to get involved, so we're just going to move on. Okay, no, don't get involved, then, guys, or maybe don't Google. No Wikipedia. Question 3 is on Nathan Broadhead, who starts.
Oh, you don't believe it's the answer?
Yeah, it's Perth. Sorry, yeah, it's Perth.
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
It's fine. Yes, it's Perth. It is Perth. So it's 2-2. Desmond going into question 3, which is on Nathan Broadhead, who starts for Wales tonight against South Korea. They're playing right now, I think. Don't know how they're getting on. I don't know. Just quickly have a little look. It's
nil-nil. Bet 365, but you beat me to it.
It's nil-nil. But yes, let me just get. Adam Wright's Perth, my friend. Perth. That's the question. But yeah, Nathan Broadhead scored on his Wales debut in March, but against who? Was it Latvia, Croatia, or Armenia?
I was watching it live in Welsh commentary.
Oh,
That's how starved I was of whatever football should have been on in that time period.
Like, did we have any? Yeah, we would have had, because that's when the Greg Lee.
That's the whole Barnsley debacle.
Yes. And that's probably why we didn't have no game. But yes, who do you reckon then, boys? Well, get the comments.
Croatia.
Of course, it was Croatia. It was like a 90.
It's 1-1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a last kick of the game, Jobby.
Yeah. Everyone's saying Croatia, of course. Boom. Boom. Hello, Kev. Correct answer straight away. Love that. Right, and so it's 3-3. Everyone's got it correct so far. Going into question 4 is on Brandon Williams. Now, he is unique. Maybe not that unique, because other people may have 2 middle names, but he has 2 middle names, boys. So what is his middle name? His 2 middle names, sorry. Is it Paul Bryan, Lee Charlie, or Thomas Simon? So is it Brandon Paul Bryan Williams? Is it Brandon Lee Charlie Williams?
Considering who you've got on the podcast, there can only be one guest that we can have.
Yeah, true, but is that a trick one?
Although Simon might not know what my first name is, I've just realised. But yeah,
potentially. But yeah,
if he doesn't, I've just given it away.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go for anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, what's your answers, boys? What do you reckon?
I put Thomas Simon. I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I mean, we had to do it considering it's both of our names. And I know Simon Thomas is the Norwich fan, isn't he? Isn't he like some presenter or pundit or whatever?
Presenter for Sky. I think he does the Soccer Saturday now.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I am going to games I've not watched, but I hear bad reviews about it. So.
Yeah, to be fair, you can't replace Jeff Stelling and co. He's been doing it for so long.
United after Fergie, isn't it? Like, good luck filling them shoes. Yeah,
pretty much. I think any TV show who've had like a long-term presenter, you just
And that's got Mike Dean on it now, haven't they, as well? I saw it the weekend. It's just like, how bad can it get?
Yeah, not good. Okay, we've got a few here. We've got James Biggs, who went Lee Bryan, but that's not an option. But then he went Lee Charlie. So fair play to him. He went to it. Kev goes, hope it's Charlie Williams. So basically Lee Charlie. And now I'm a master, because I've tricked you, boys. I've tricked you. Because I thought I did that. I thought, you never know. And it does work a little bit, did it? Brandon Thomas Simon Williams. It does sort of work. But it's actually Paul Bryan. Brandon Paul Bryan Williams. That is the answer. So we are going to need a tiebreaker, which is exciting. It's very exciting. And I've just got to quickly put the answer in the tiebreaker question, because I thought I had, but I hadn't. I've actually kept it from the last Fan Social, which was the QPR game. How many times did Town won at QPR in 39 games? But I'm going to remove that and add the Sam Morsey question. And Sam Morsey, of course, we've mentioned already. Player of the month, potentially Championship Player of the month. Likely, hopefully, win more caps for Egypt. But how many caps has he won for Egypt as of this recording? So the closest to the correct answer gets the point.
Sheesh.
I think the last time he won a cap was actually at the World Cup in 2018, I think, in Russia. Right. From the top of my head, anyway. I'm just going to have a little look. So yeah, he was called up back in 2021 when he was with us, but he didn't actually end up in the final squad. But yeah, the last time he played, from what I can see here, was against Uruguay in the FA Cup. The World Cup.
Not that one.
It's hot. Okay, it's hot. But yeah, so yeah, closest to the correct answer gets the win. Basically, get involved in the comments. How many do you reckon Sam Morsey? A nice little clue here. He hasn't scored in those caps. So let's see.
Considering this is, there's a reason. Obviously, I put 5. I think it's really low. So that and 5 is symbolic, isn't it? So
yes, for his number, yeah.
I went with 19.
19. Oof, yeah, that's going too high.
Okay.
I know he's 30.
That's what I was sort of thinking. I didn't know how many he'd won before that 2018 one.
No, to be fair, he's 30. He's 32 actually this month. He's actually 32 on Sunday. So happy birthday, Sam Morsey, for Sunday. And yeah, you'd think hopefully he would have won more caps by then, but because of Egypt's are weird in terms of they don't really like to pick players who don't actually play in Egypt or something, don't they? It's because they have that. Is there a rule? I don't know. I'm talking out my ass now, I think. But I know there's been a lot.
Certain England managers got some weird rules about picking players as well, so I wouldn't worry about
true. Yeah, true that. So Bloomers has gone 5, Simon has gone 19, James has gone 8 caps, Kev's gone 12, and correct answer is. Sorry, Davina's in my ear.
Sorry, look at it. Ross thinks he's on Eurovision.
yeah. I can't say what's that in French. I don't know what that's in French. And Nick, actually, he's done it for me.
Italian then.
I don't know. I can't do that in Italian either. I can barely speak, normal words, not numbers. But Nick has got it spot on. I don't know if you've cheekily looked, but this is the correct answer. Hopefully that will expand, but it is 7. So Bloomers is the closest with his 5. So he wins the strike this week. Speech as always, my friend. And well done, Nick, as well, for getting it right.
Yeah, delighted. Long time coming. Never win one of these. Sorry, Simon, it had to be you. Let's wrap up.
Yes.
I feel like there's a coat, is it one of them hooks trying to hook me back into work?
Yes. Yeah, a big shout out to Bloomers.
I'll do my victory lap in 5 minutes' time when I'm talking about how I've just won this magical quiz.
Definitely. Well, yeah, we are going to be wrapping up the show shortly because Bloomers is actually at work, but his work have been kind enough to let him record this podcast. But I just want to quickly just wrap up the sort of transfer window as a whole, boys. Of course, Axel Tuanzebe is still in the building. There's been rumours today about Real Betis, in talks with him and stuff. But what we know, he's still in Suffolk and potentially he apparently played in the game against West Ham, of course, which was a 1-1 draw. Connor Chaplin scored in that game. Aaron Cresswell scored a free kick in that game, former Town player as well. But yeah,
I didn't even know this game took place. Where was I?
Yeah.
What was this?
It was today. Today was this afternoon
right.
at West Ham. So, but it was a behind closed doors game. There's no footage of the game, but it was ended 1-1. And yeah, Axel Tuanzebe apparently played in it. So yeah, he's still here. But I want to quickly get your rating out of 10, boys, of the transfer window. Deadline day, slam shut. There was a quiet Portman Road, which we saw Kyle Edwards leave. Of course, Dane Scarlett did sign on deadline day eve, which we quoted on the flagship show. But Simon, out of 10, what are you giving it?
For me, I'd say 7. It's very solid. I think it builds on what we already had, and in certain areas sort of got the squad depth improved, which it needed to be. Players with great experience. You look at the likes of Brandon Williams, obviously Premier League minutes. Amari Hutchinson looks like a real live wire talent from Chelsea. And look, the big signing, the one that stands out is George Hurst. I mean, that's a guy who was obviously instrumental in getting us promoted. It wasn't a done deal that was going to happen necessarily. And I think ultimately the price that we got that deal done at was really good. And I think that's a great signing for us with a player with huge potential. And Jack Taylor as well, who I think in his cameos has looked really sharp and I don't think will be too far away from a start before too long. I think obviously you hear people talking about, is it underwhelming? There's no sort of big name star players in that sort of spending 3, 4, 5 million or whatever on a single player. We didn't get one of those. But ultimately I thought this team deserved a crack at the Championship before we sort of look to replace and upgrade at some point. That will happen undoubtedly. But this team did deserve a go at it and see who is up to the task and who isn't, and then we'll go again in January. So I think for me it's a 7. I think if we did get Tuanzebe, I'd probably push that to an 8 as well because I think he's a very, very talented footballer.
Yeah. And that's what Adam Wright said. Solid 7 will be 8 if Tuanzebe signs, and he just said basically if K-Mac just we'll sort it out and make it 10 either way. So there we go. And of course he signed a new deal. Connor Chaplin signed a new deal. So there have been new signings as well, if you want to class them as. Bloomers, out of 10 then, my friend, how are you rating the window?
Yeah, I think 7's fair. I think at the start of the window, if you'd have told us this is what the window would have been and how many signings we'd have made and these are the players, I think quite a few people would be quite underwhelmed. I think this good start has kind of meant a lot of people are being a lot more happy about this than they would have been if we'd have had 1 point after 5 games. I think you've had people screaming from the heavens that we didn't upgrade or we didn't sign players or whatever. But I think it would have been nice to have got another centre-back. I think it would have been nicer if we'd have got another forward, like a striker. See, Ladapo's showing that maybe we don't need a striker. But yeah, I think each signing on their own merits is pretty good. Getting Luongo again is great. Getting Hurst again is fantastic as well. No one left. That's the key thing. No one left. I think that probably pushes up to an 8, to be perfectly honest. Like all of the linchpins from last season, none of them have gone. You still got Walton. I know he's injured, but you still got him. You still got Wolfenden. You've still got Morsey. You still got Chaplin. Like that's, I don't think you can ask much more than that, full stop, because some teams will know that eventually they'll have their price. I don't care what happens. I don't care if we're top of the league, 10 points clear. If someone comes in with a price and it's the right price, then I imagine anyone in this team will go. And I don't want Ipswich fans to get upset about that. That's football these days. But it's been great to see like Jack Taylor come in and, only in cameo roles so far. He might be really important come the end of the season. Are we interested to see if Scarlett gets much game time? We don't know yet. Williams and Hutchinson just provided a completely different dynamic down that right-hand side when they came on against Cardiff, and that could be so key in unlocking defences going forward. Hutchinson already looks a bit more confident than he did in his first cameos. I saw his game against Reading. He looked a bit timid's the wrong word, but he looked like 19 years old. Or is he 19? I think he's 19. He certainly he looked like a teenager. And when he came on against Cardiff, he was chucking himself about, putting him in check. Like it was so good to see. Someone's obviously had a word in his ear and gone, look, be physical, and he was, and it reaped dividends. And he's shown against Reading and Cardiff that if he gets one-on-one and isolates his man down the wing, he can just skip past players. If he gets a bit of decision-making drummed into him, like you can see why Chelsea got him from Arsenal, and you can see why he was so highly touted. So yeah, really exciting. Maybe a bit threadbare, the squad. Let's hope that we won't be lamenting that we haven't got more in like October, November if injuries start to hit. But yeah, 7's good. And like I say, the good start means so much goodwill going around, and it'd be really harsh to be much negative at all. So yeah, happy days.
I mean, I think the other thing is obviously you look at the squad sizes, we're right up at the limit now. So there's not much else we realistically could have done unless we were going to ship 2 or 3 out the door.
Yeah,
we are right at the cap, and if we get to Anzavia, I think we are 25. We're at the absolute maximum we could be at. So I don't see what more the club could have done in terms of there's 2 for every position. There's depth where you need it. And then we've got the youngsters like Baggett and Humphreys to supplement at certain times if they're needed. You'd hope they're not needed too often, but it's good to know that they're there, and they're obviously extremely talented. And you saw the role Humphreys played last year, and he's clearly very capable. So the squad is in good shape. And look, it's only 4 months until January comes around. It comes around before you know it. And as I say, I think the squad is in and around top 6 or top half. That it will be like last season. They will look to go again. They always talk about how ambitious the project is. And I think then it becomes an easier sell. We talk about sort of star names. If you are in and around the top 6 of the championship, you maybe can attract a certain caliber of player, which right now we just sort of can't, because teams don't really know us as a championship outfit. They know us as a League One outfit for 4 years. So they're just sort of keeping their powder dry a little bit. And as we progress through this league, then those players will be more and more available to us.
Yeah, bring on the January transfer window, boys. That's where that's what we did last season in League One, didn't we? January is where we made
got us over the line.
I mean, I think that's an important point as well. I mean, you talk about this transfer window being a 7. If you sort of bundled the 2 together, which I think is fair in terms of improving the starting 11, you probably saw between them is a 8 or 9, isn't it? So I think if you're looking at it that way in terms of progressing the team in the space of 2 windows, it's gone dramatically up from where it was even last summer.
Yeah, onwards and upwards.
Definitely. Well, boys, I know Bloom's got to head off, so we're going to wrap up now. I just want to quickly bring Kev's answer. He's gone 10 out of 10, and as well, the result v Cardiff made it through, because, this team just shows they can come back from a 2-goal deficit and to win. So there we go. Just got some other business, and I'll go back to you, boys, for your final bit of business. If you want to mention your international break, what do you get up to? International break. But the under-21s for Town, they won their first game of the season. They beat Coventry City 3-0 up Playford Road. I was there sweating. It was a very hot day, but I got some good pictures. Got to see a good win. So shout out to the under-21s team. The Tractor Girls, though, lost their first game on Wednesday night against #. Hopefully they'll bounce back. They've got a game against Milton Keynes Stadium NK this weekend. So if you're free and want your football fix on Sunday, go down to Stadium NK and watch that in the stadium. And as I mentioned, Town played a behind closed door friendly with West Ham today, which ended 1-1. Connor Chapman scoring, and Aaron Cresswell, formerly of his parish, scored a free kick. So there we go. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Bloomers, any other business from you, my friend? What are you going to be doing? I know you're football. Football.
Yeah. Like I say, in my personal life, it's all about Ipswich, but in my professional life, it's all about the NFL and some late nights ahead. But look, it's the biggest niche sport in the UK for a reason. Anyone who's like disgusted by it or reviled, like just give it a go. Like get someone who knows what they're talking about. So not me. To work it through with you. And yeah, if you want a quick bet for who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, my money is on the San Francisco 49ers, and the dark horses are the Jacksonville Jaguars, London's team. So there's your two teams. If both of them flame out, then you know who to come and abuse. But yeah, full steam ahead for the NFL. And as I say, kickoff is in 9, 10, 11, 5 hours time. Bring it on.
As of this recording. As of
8:30 p.m. Kickoff is in 5 hours.
UK time, yeah. And that is Heafy's team, the San Francisco 49ers. So he'll be very happy about that. Simon, yes, definitely. ACL.
ACL gang.
Yeah, ACL gang, all that. But yeah, Simon, any other business from you? And I'll bring in a few more comments as we wrap up.
No, nothing from me. I mean, I think you mentioned the Rugby World Cup. Looking forward to that. Should be good. And having a look at what some of the Ipswich players can do on international duty. It's been a long time since we've had this many players to sort of keep an eye on. So it'll be interesting to see how the likes of Morsey and Burgess go in their respective squads. Obviously, Wales having Burns and Broadhead too. So definitely keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, definitely check out our website. I'm sure we'll do roundups of that as well. Let's quickly just bring up some more comments. Philip's gone. I gave a transfer window 9 out of 10. Bloomers, you can head off, mate. Good seeing you. But I want to quickly just say goodbye to all the viewers. So Simon, you can stick with me. Just me and you having a chin wag. But yeah, Philip's gone. I gave the transfer window 9 out of 10. Then we've got James here. I sense a start for Taylor soon. We can have a little chat about that actually if you want, Simon. Yeah. Only trouble with it is that I feel Mass and Morsey are brilliant at playing in the defensive role. Can we fit Taylor in that midfield somewhere? So Simon, take that question.
Yeah, I mean, as I sort of mentioned, I think Taylor's looked very impressed with his cameos. I thought particularly on Saturday when sort of Town were in, I think he came on at 2-2 and then sort of helped close that game out. I thought he gave really good energy and he's such a big unit as well. I mean, when you sort of first see him, you don't think he doesn't look that imposing, but he's like 6'3" and he throws his weight about a bit. I mean, obviously the Mass and Morsey midfield has been so crucial for Town for a long period of time, but you have got to look at it in the rounds of it's 32 and 30 years old in a midfield in the Championship over 46 games. I can't see them playing every single game. That just feels like it would be an insane ask of players who are, I wouldn't say reaching the end of their careers, but they're not 25 anymore. It's going to be hard yards in the centre of the pitch against very quick and talented midfielders. So there will come a time where Jack Taylor will start. I think he's certainly not far away from one. I think he's probably knocking on the door in terms of what he's been providing recently. And I think he gives something different. I mean, we talked about Jackson offering something that we don't have in terms of a midfield runner breaking the lines, getting into the box. That's not Mass and Morsey. They're not going to get in the box and score goals, really. It's not their game. And there will come games, certainly like Cardiff, where teams are in a low block and you need that sort of player to sort of get in the box and make the spare man and score the goals. So, yeah, I definitely think Taylor, before long, will get a starting berth in the league. But, I mean, he showed in the Cups as well. He's certainly more than capable.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly, one more from Philip again. Hutchie, I think it means Hutchison was a marked man in the Reading game, but came good as the game grew. And I think he's another one we've spoken about many times. He's one I think will grow with confidence, and he's a young kid, so he's going to learn. This is his first loan spell away from Chelsea. So, what have you made of him so far?
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a youth player from a Premier League academy. You can see all the technical abilities there. Clearly, he's got all the skills to be a good footballer. But he needs to just sort of sharpen up and learn how to play men's football, because you're not facing 18-year-old fullbacks anymore. You're facing 30-year-old physical defenders who are prepared to just throw you on the floor and kick you and clip your heels or whatever and do that sort of dirty work. So you need to get used to that physicality of it in the first place. But he's shown that he's got all the talent to make a big impact. I mean, I look at someone like Amad Diallo at Sunderland last year, another player who had a bit more experience than Hutchinson going into that loan, but learned throughout the season and ultimately almost fired that team to promotion. So obviously we hope as Ipswich fans that he can have a similar impact than that. But he, as I say, he's got all the ability, but he just needs to be a bit more canny with how he uses it. And the decision making, I think, will come naturally as he gets more game time and he gets used to the speed of the league.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, Kev has got the final two questions or comments. Well, I keep saying questions. Comments. He said, good show, Ross and everyone. So thanks, Kev, for tuning in. And he also went, I think this is Kieran McKenna. He's keeping everyone's feet on the ground. This is a very strong league, as Burns said, and he's finding out one game at a time. And that's what they do, don't they, Simon? They just take each game, one game at a time, and don't get too carried away.
I mean, I went to the press conference after the Cardiff game. And you want him to come in and bang the table and sort of gile everybody up, but that's not him. He's just going to keep doing the same. He comes into the press room and you just sort of think you could have lost 4-0. You feel like he'd have the exact same demeanour as this turnaround victory that all the fans are absolutely buzzing for, and that's a sign of a good manager. I mean, you see some managers get too emotional, too invested. Just keep everybody level. Don't get too high with the highs and don't get too low with the lows. Keep trusting the process and go again one game at a time. It's not sexy, but ultimately that's what good teams do.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, final words there from Simon. I think that's the perfect way to end it, my friend. It's been a great show. Thanks for Bloomers for joining us. Thanks, Simon, for joining me as well. It's been a great show to get your little fix ready for the weekend. Of course, international breaks are just England, New England plan. I don't have a... I don't really.
Ukraine and Scotland, I believe.
Oh, Scotland! That'll be a big.
It's the 150th anniversary of the first international game.
Time ago, it's a long time ago. A lot of things happened since then, but yeah, that's your football fix, of course. But this has been your podcast fix for the weekend. Hope you've enjoyed it. As always, shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Use the code KOA. You get 20% off and free delivery for all your grooming needs, your nose, your beard, below the waist, your ears stuff as well. So check it out, and of course, Ginger Pickle. For your marketing, SEO needs and all that sort of stuff, check them out. Tony Southgate and the team will sort you out. And it's been another great show. I'll be back for a flagship show next week, ready to build up to, remind me, Simon,
Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough, of course. There we go. Final little one from James. Great show, chaps. Thanks very much, James. Get involved in the comments. And then Kev's gone, ta-ra, everyone. And that is the way we're going to end it. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye for now. End stream right now.